Hey gamers, welcome to the stream. Get ready to be shocked because it's my face. So let me check how we sound real quick. Also, I hope you guys can see me all right. I almost hit the end stream button. That would have been really dumb. Okay, so let me check how we sound real quick before I get started. Okay, it looks like we sound good. So, yeah. So, we're doing another one of these streams where I kind of talk about some stuff I've experienced in the past. Like, I've done crazy things I did at school, things my parents did and didn't let me do, along with a couple other things. But this time, we're going to be talking about how I've dealt with loss before. This is going to be a pretty depressing stream, all things considered, so I apologize for that. Unlike the other streams, though, I don't have a paper here, a list of things I want to talk about. With the other streams, I had, like, notes, like, oh, I'm going to be talking about this and this. I don't have one here, because most of the stream is going to be talking about one person in particular, being my dad, who passed away, and I'll get more into that later on. But I will talk about other stuff as well. But yeah, most of the stream, I'm going to talk about one central topic. So I felt it wasn't really needed. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing well today. And I'm doing this stream. I'm doing this stream along on Twitch as well as YouTube. Because why not? I wanted to do it. I kind of want to do more variety stuff on Twitch, not just gaming stuff. And I want to give this type of stream another shot on Twitch, to see how you guys respond over there. I prefer doing a lot of these, like, where I'm on camera streams. I prefer doing a lot of them on YouTube, like, exclusively, because I could, like, do the shorts thing where it's a vertical stream, but I know some people prefer the horizontal view, and overall, I do want to give it another shot again. So anyway, so let's start off with the main story here that I want to talk about. And when we're going along, feel free to share your own experiences with loss as well. I'm going to be talking about, family members passing away, people leaving, animals, passing away as well. So yeah, feel free to share. I want this to be a open space where you guys can share along with me. But anyway, before I forget, shout outs to Nilis Eden for becoming a YouTube member in the $10 tier. Yeah, just wanted to put it out before I forgot. Anyway, let's start off with the first time I ever experienced loss, where I really cared about someone, and this was when I've told this story, before, but I'm going to tell it like a more extended version, being when my dad passed away when I was, let me just readjust this, okay. When I turned 6 years old on my birthday, that's when he died. On my birthday, he died a little bit after midnight. What happened was my dad was feeling sick for like the last few months of when I was 5. He was feeling sick because he had like a bad liver, I think. A bad liver. He had a bad liver because multiple reasons. One of the big ones, I think, was because he smoked a lot. And he needed to get a replacement, but my dad was very stubborn. He said he didn't need it, and he got very sick from that, and he could barely move out of the bed. In fact, this is where he was sleeping on this bed. He was sleeping here, or like he would be on the bed most of the time. My mom would be on the couch or whatever, trying to take care of him. Okay, sorry, I was just thinking of how I'm going to tell this. So, he was feeling a bit sick, but he was still, this is not what killed him, this is not what caused him to die, though it is a factor, because he was very weak, but he still was alive. He still, even though he was like very much bedridden a lot, he was still a lot like his usual self. My dad was a very nice guy. He was amazing. If you know Bandit from Bluey, he was basically like Bandit. And yeah, it was. In fact, let me show you guys a picture of my dad. Well, first of all, here's this. Oh God, how do I? Okay, can you see that well? So there's my dad there, along with my mom, and there's also a couple other pictures. I'm gonna flip the camera for a second. So, okay, I don't know if you could see that well, but there's my dad there, and then there's like a reflection. There we go. There's my dad there along with me. But my dad was a very nice guy, and very funny, very caring. Like, he was a lot of things. Again, just like Bandit from Bluey, if you know that. So anyway, he was still like this even towards the end, but I could tell he was feeling a bit sick. But then, this is what a part of the story my mom told me somewhat recently, like a few years ago, was my dad was slowly starting to, like, die. I think he might have, at the very least, he might have gone around the hospital around this time if he didn't do what he did. So, okay, so let me explain. So, it was around, I believe, 10 p.m. when my dad started to, like, kind of lose it a little bit, like, start to go into the light, dare I say. Apparently my mom was there, and apparently this is what he said. He said he was dying. This is what my dad said. He was dying, and he wanted to say that he loved us and take care of me or whatever. Like he was doing this, but he was still around, and I think maybe, again, he would have probably gone to the hospital either way around this time. But this started around 10. But then at 12 a.m., on my birthday, like around there, like maybe a few minutes after 12 at midnight, he wanted to, I think he wanted to not bug my mom because my mom was sleeping on the couch. So he thought it would be a great idea to go downstairs and get something. I think maybe a glass of water or something, a drink. To go by himself on his own, which is very dangerous, especially because I don't remember him getting out of bed that much besides going to the bathroom. And I don't remember him ever going downstairs for for the last couple of months. So yeah, this was a major thing. And when he was going downstairs, he fell down, and there was blood everywhere. There was a loud noise, and I woke up around this time, and we called an ambulance. My dad was still there for a little bit, for I want to say another hour, but he was like losing a lot of blood. And we got to the hospital, and I still hate this guy. This doctor comes in, and he takes me and my mom to go see my dad, and he tells us, oh, he's dead. He's died. Rip. Oh, that's not what he said. But he said, oh, I'm sorry, your dad passed away. But I think that's so stupid for this guy, because why would you bring a hecking 6-year-old kid? Again, it was my birthday. What a great birthday present, right? No, but like bringing in like a kid like me and saying, oh yeah, he's dead, that's, oh my God. And I remember holding my dad's hand, and it was very sad. I think we took home his watch that he had on, and that was very rough, and things got pretty bad after that, like, I don't know how to describe this in a way to make it make sense, but basically, my dad, I loved him a lot, but I feel bad that he died, because there was a lot of great things about him, and, I later come to realize, I'm kind of mad that he died because of, there's a lot of things that I should have done with him, I know it's a cliche thing, like play catch or whatever. I don't care about sports, but, still something like that, or learning how to, ride a bike, or, or talk to girls. That was a big thing. My dad was a ladies' man. He had 3 wives. He was very smooth with the girls. But he was also very sensitive. He looked like a tough guy, and he was a tough guy, but he was also very sensitive. And I wish that I had someone to teach me stuff like that. And it kind of got me mad, and it led me down a spiral where I just felt isolated, more than I did before, because this ties into autism with me. Because, also, I apologize for still going like, and because a lot, it's a habit of mine. Anyway, I just did it again. Okay, but anyway, what happened, was that, you're born with autism. It's not something you develop. It is something you're born with. And I was, always kind of like a introverted kid. I had trouble talking with people. When my dad was alive, when I went to kindergarten for the first time, I did not really want to talk to anyone there. I was very sad that my mom had to leave me in school, and, it was very rough. Eventually, the teacher there, who was really nice, I wish I could go and thank her, but, like, she kind of convinced me to go play with everyone else, like, in the classroom, but it was still, like, rough. I wasn't, like, already, like, so at all. But when my dad died, it became way worse for me. Like, that struggle I already had became 10 times harder to, open up to people, to make friends, to do a lot of other things that, kids do. And it was very rough. I also felt like I needed to grow up way quicker than I should have, because my dad died and he was the man of the house. My mom, she did her best, and she was, great, and she still is great, but still she was struggling too, and I felt like I needed to be there for her as well. Even though I was only like 6, again, very young, I felt I needed to grow up faster. And that's a thing, again, a lot of these stuff that, okay, sorry, I was just, there was an icon there. Anyway, a lot of these stuff that I felt when my dad died, they were there, they were present with, before he died, of autism. But when my dad died, they got enhanced to a further degree. And that's why for the longest time, I did not know I was autistic. My mom did not know. We didn't get diagnosed, and I didn't get diagnosed until I was 16. Which, by the way, side point, I'm gonna be making a video sometime soon talking about my autism diagnosis report. I want to make a video talking about that because I think I find it very interesting. I want to share it with you guys. Anyway, side point, I got diagnosed at 16, almost 17. And for the longest time, me and my mom just thought it was I was this way because of my dad dying. And I don't blame, the people, like psychiatrists, therapists, my mom. I don't blame them, because it did seem like it, yeah, with my dad dying, I didn't really open up with people at all, talk to them, until I started to be a little bit more open actually, it was like around 4th grade, be a little bit more open, and then 5th grade, a little bit more, but like not to a major degree. Like I kind of talked to some people here and there, I kind of had friends, but overall, I really didn't, talk to them a lot, and it was because I think one of the reasons why, of course, again, autism is a thing about being like, having having like, God, how do I say this? Autism, when you have it, you probably have not good social skills, don't understand social cues. That was a big thing. But I think another reason why I was kind of hesitant to talk to people was because I was afraid of them either leaving me or, stuff like abandonment, feeling like something like, if I talk to someone and get to know them, they could leave as well. And, I didn't want to do that. But even though it is important for human connection to, connect with others. Before I get on to the rest of the story, I do want to say also that, when my dad died, I was very scared and traumatized that my mom and other people like my grandma, and to some extent, I still feel this way. I'm still dealing with loss in some way, I don't think you ever get, like if someone dies in your life or you lose someone in terms of like they move away or whatever, I don't think you ever get rid of those feelings. Just like I don't think you get rid of any feelings. Like if you liked someone before, or you had an ex, again, friend or whatever, like I don't think you lose those feelings, whether they were sad or happy or mad. I don't think you ever lose them. They just become more manageable, they're still in your heart, they're still in your mind, but you still, they can still come up, and I'm still dealing with it, but I've gotten better, I feel, with like loss and stuff like that. But anyway, what was my point going with this? That, oh yeah, okay, that I was very nervous that my mom was gonna die as well, and I would be all alone, because for like the like year after my dad died, I was basically, so we were living upstairs, but then when my dad died, we moved downstairs. I think because we were kind of traumatized about the stairs after that. I'm still kind of a little bit traumatized about the stairs, but we moved downstairs, and what happened was I would watch my mom sleep, to make sure she was breathing okay, because I didn't want to have another situation where my dad died. I didn't want to be left alone. And I felt the same way, and I still do sometimes think this, of my grandma passing away too, because she's getting up there. She's, oh God, she was born 2 years after my dad, which was, my dad was born in 1947. My grandma was born in 1949. So she's like 70, what's the math? 70 something? I don't know. Something like that. You guys do the math. I'm too lazy to do it. Anyway, she's getting up there, and she has stuff like my dad also had this too, some diseases such as diabetes. My dad had it. My grandma has it. So it's like not looking good. But my grandma is very active. She's like goes around going places or whatever. She's very, she has diabetes, but she's overall pretty healthy, all things considered. And, I think she has a long time to be with us, but I still think about like, what if she dies, I'll be, in a way, I'll be left alone. Of course, I'll have other family and stuff like that, but that's what I think about. And I still do think about, sometimes the thoughts come up when I'm trying to sleep, like, oh my God, what if tomorrow's the day my grandma dies, or tomorrow's the day my mom, or sometimes, even though it's, because he's younger, my brother, like, because accidents could happen, car accidents or whatever. I worry about these things. I used to worry about them way more before, around when my dad died, I've luckily gotten a bit better, for a few reasons. I've dealt, I expressed, losing my dad. I still miss him, and I still worry about if someone else I care about will die or whatever, for example. But I have learned that you gotta live in the moment, I used to very much so think about the future in everything. Excuse me, I drank a soda earlier. I used to, okay, sorry, I got kind of, I forgot for a second, I forgot. Anyway, I used to think about the future a lot, before. I don't really do it anymore, and I don't try to, because again, just like I mentioned, I would worry my dad or my dad. I would worry about someone else would die, just like my dad. But I would worry about other future stuff too, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do when I graduate from high school? What am I going to do for a job? What am I gonna do about this thing tomorrow. I don't know. I would worry about that, and that's what I would do with my other family. What if something happens to them? But I've learned that you gotta live in the moment. You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow or the next day or in a year or whatever. You don't know, but you can make, what you do know is what's happening today. And you got to make the most of what time you have left, Life is a short thing, but it's also very precious. And even though it's hard, sometimes it does creep up back, that, oh my God, life is depressing because everyone dies or whatever. You got to learn that, you have the time right now to spend with those people. So do it, maybe you're worried about your grandma passing away and she's like 100. Spend time with her today. Get together and talk about old stories or whatever while you still can, And you never know, she could live far longer. And you, or if she doesn't, hey, at least you got to make memories, I'm hoping this makes sense, that what I'm saying, you gotta live in the moment. You gotta not worry about that stuff, because we don't know. No one knows what's gonna happen in the future. We just gotta play it by ear, we gotta live right now, and to do that, we celebrate, we spend time with them and celebrate the people we have while we still can. So, my God, I want to take a quick break before I continue. If you guys have any, again, share your stories in the chat as well. I would love to hear, how you've dealt with loss. And I'll talk more about my dad as well, along with other things like friends moving away or whatever, pets dying. I'll talk about that later on. But again, feel free to share your stuff in the chat as well. I really want to hear. I always aim for these streams to be, a little bit of a back and forth, where I talk about stuff, but you guys can share too if you're comfortable doing it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm just thinking of what else, what else, how I should say this, going forward. Oh, also, I do want to quickly say that I thought about, I had this idea for the stream, I want to say 2 days ago, I came up with this idea, but I wanted to do it today because of the fact that, because I've been watching a lot of more, the Josh Speaks, live streams. If you don't know who that guy is, great guy, talks about advice on, being your best self, talking with your crush or whatever, all these sort of stuff, to make you a better person. And I've been watching more of his live streams again. I kind of stopped for a little bit, but I've been watching them, and I'm like, you know what, I want to do a stream like that again, because that's what I model these streams off of, I model these streams off of, those streams that he did, so, yeah. Anyway, let's continue on, shall we, with my story here about my dad. So again, I've learned to be in the moment, but it took me a while to get to that point, and I still sometimes it creeps up in my mind, what if this or this, especially when I'm trying to sleep, but those are just thoughts. Thoughts come up, you can't really control them. They just sort of happen, but what you can control is what you do with those thoughts. So, yeah, but it took me a while to do that. And it doesn't help the fact that, it took me forever to, deal with, and technically I still haven't fully dealt with my dad passing away. Because, again, like I mentioned earlier, I am a bit mad. I made a Reddit post, I don't know, a couple months ago. I was kind of going through something. I think it had to do with other stuff that I'll talk about in a bit, but I was going through, I posted a Reddit post where I was talking about how I felt mad that my dad passed away, and Okay, sorry, my tablet here was like loading for a second. Anyway, I felt mad that my dad passed away because of multiple reasons. Again, he didn't get to teach me a lot of stuff. He was a great guy, but I wish I had more time with him. And another thing is that my dad he wasn't rich by any means, but he was pretty well off. When he was younger, I believe he owned like a couple of houses. He had 3 wives, he had 2 kids, and they were all pretty well financially well off. And we were pretty well financially well off when he was around, before I was born, my dad bought my mom a lot of things like a PSP. I wish we kept that. An N64, a bunch of other stuff. I believe one of the cars he has, we don't have it now, but a car that she had. And then even when I was born, we were still, we still got, I got a lot of toys from my dad because he bought them. Guitars. We were pretty well off. Again, we weren't rich, but we were pretty well off. But when he died, it kind of left a huge financial thing where we're still dealing with it. We still have trouble with, stuff. We are able to, eat groceries or whatever. But we do that with like food stamps. We have to wait around the 8th of every month. And we can't afford nice things like a lot, maybe a McDonald's here and there, and that's only from like my grandma. She does that. Everything else, my mom just gets groceries. We don't really have money for like other things like games, or at least not much most of the time. We're fine, but we were way better when my dad was around. And I kind of felt mad at him because, he left us dealing with a lot of these stuff. And I don't blame him or whatever. I'm just saying because he died, and he was because of him, we were well off financially. And now that he died, we're not okay, we're struggling, but we're not like suffering, if that makes sense. And we're still dealing with this. And, it just makes me so sad and mad in a way, Not, again, when I say mad, I don't mean like I'm holding a grudge on my dad or whatever. I miss him a lot. I love him. But, I'm mad at what happened, the situation that happened, if that makes sense. So, but that's what I did. Like, I did a Reddit post of that, and I think it kind of, the reason it spiked up like a few months ago was because I was dealing with loss in a different way, which I'll talk a bit about now, where, I started to, be a little bit more open around 4th grade and then a little bit more in 5th grade. But then 6th grade and middle school, I started to become way more open to more people, more friendships, crushes, Of course, I had crushes before in elementary school, but I really didn't do anything. I just hid my feelings because I was scared to confess them, again, like abandonment stuff. But I started to be a little bit more open in middle school, where I tried to, be more friends with people. And a lot of the friendships I formed in middle school were not good for 2 reasons. One, I was mostly being a pretend version of myself. I would swear. I don't like swearing. I would swear in school to try to get friends. I would be a little bit more crazy and wacky, like for example, in school, I would do all my work most of the time, especially when I was not in classes with my friends. I would do my work, but then when I was with my friends, I would not do my work. I would just talk with them, kind of goof around, because that's how I kept friendships, and excuse me again. And okay, sorry, I'm just thinking. So I would do that, and I would do other things to like kind of shift my personality to be more, outgoing, and get more people. There were some people I was more true to myself with, two in particular. One was my best friend at the time, Isaiah. He was a great guy. He was also autistic. I didn't know what autism was, but I related to him a whole lot. And we were very similar. We hang out a lot in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, not so much, but we were still close. And we would hang out, and we shared a lot of interests, like Steven Universe. We watched that show, great show, by the way. We shared a lot of things in common, and I was more open with him. And the second person, you know her already, Clarissa. I won't talk much about her in this stream because I've done other stuff where I talk about her, but I was close with her, and I was far more open with her than I was with anyone in school at that point. I showed her more of my true self to be, I was more of my true self with her compared to anyone, even Isaiah, which I was already more true to other people, and that hurt much more when eventually they left me. So, with Isaiah's case, it's not like we kind of just drifted apart because, I'm going to be honest, it's because I was focusing on other people, especially Clarissa at the time, and I kind of neglected the friendship I had with him. He was my first true friend I had. I've had other kind of friends, in elementary school, but he was my true best friend that I ever had in school. And, I kind of neglected that relationship. And starting around 8th grade, we were still pretty close, but I kind of neglected it. And then in 9th grade and later on, we really drifted apart. And I felt so sad, because he was my first true friend, And I did have eventually another true friend, Isaac, who I haven't seen lately, but he is subscribed to the channel, the YouTube channel, and also Twitch. He's following. Anyway, he shows up sometimes on chat, but I haven't seen him lately. Where are you? Anyway, but I eventually got another true friend with him. But my first true friend, Isaiah, we drifted apart, and I felt very sad because, again, we were very similar. And, he was a great guy, a bit goofy, but, he was overall very chill, very cool. And, I just felt sad to lose that friendship. But it hurt even more with Clarissa, which, again, won't talk about much. Basically, what happened was, we liked each other. We couldn't date. We hung out we were like kind of together for like 2 years. In 9th grade, we had a falling out because another guy came in, was kind of trying to, I thought, steal her away from me, even though we couldn't date, so we didn't really have nothing. But, we had a falling out, and eventually, years later, in fact, a few months ago, I reconnected with her, and all these emotions, stirred up again. But basically, what happened was, I was really close with her. I told her my true self compared to any other person. And when that that falling out happened, I kept thinking about her. And I'm going to be honest, I still do, to some extent, still think about her, I've gotten more over it, especially with reconnecting with her. Before I reconnected with her, I kept thinking, man, I can't believe that happened. I would think about her and stuff like that. But with me reconnecting with her, I think that helped me kind of move forward in a way to, get closure. I'm not fully there yet in terms of closure, but I am further than I was before we reconnected. But it hurt a lot because, for multiple reasons, again, I felt like she was great for me. We had so many shared interests, But again, she was the person I opened up to the most besides any of my family. Honestly, in some cases more than my family. In some cases, she was the person I opened up to the most. Ever since, I'm going to be honest, really ever since my dad died. I talked to therapists or my mom or whatever about stuff like this. But see, I really opened up with her about a lot of stuff, how I felt in so many things. And when we had that falling out, it was very rough. And then when we reconnected a few months ago, it was kind of rough, and that kind of spiked the thing about the kind of depressing thing where, lost people, people leave me, all this sort of stuff. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say besides that. It was rough for me, opening up to her and to Isaiah, and when they left, it was another, like, basically stab in the heart that, I couldn't really open up to people. And there's some sort of ambulance outside. Anyway, it was like a stab in the heart, and I still haven't fully recovered, I have gotten a little bit, again, ever since, this was really what happened after hecking, I had the falling out with Clarissa. I became more close with Isaac, and he became one of my true friends, so, and, I trust him, and I have been more open with, like, stuff like with, of course, with you guys, and I've been more open on the YouTubes, on making shorts in other platforms as well, like, I upload all my shorts like TikTok and Instagram or whatever. I share my feelings with you guys, so I'm more open about that, and I've been more open with my family as well, like with my mom. I did go to kind of like a therapist thing recently, but we had to stop because we couldn't pay for it, because it was like an insurance thing. Anyway, but I talked with her, and she was very nice, and I have learned to be a little bit more open, It kind of was weird because, when my dad died, I felt very alone. Eventually, I opened up a little bit more, but then I basically, became alone again because of drifting apart or falling out. And now I'm starting to be a little bit more open again, and I think that's part of life, things are going to happen sometimes where not everything is not going to be good all the time, sometimes you will get hurt, but it's okay. It's a part of life. It's how you deal with that hurt that makes you a better person in the future, and I'm still learning this nowadays. I still struggle with it sometimes, but overall, I gotta follow those advice that I just said, yeah, but of course that's not the only time I've experienced loss. But I've done it with animals too, but I'll talk more about that in a bit. Let me just stretch out real quick. Oh my god. And again, feel free to share into the chat if you have any stories of loss you guys want to talk about. I apologize that this stream is at almost 11 p.m. for me. I apologize that this stream is very late. Excuse me. I apologize that the stream is very late for probably some of you, but, I could have done the stream earlier, but I was busy. I was recording a YouTube short talking about the levels of autism, if you guys are curious about that. I was recording a short. It was like kind of an informational education short, so there's that. And then I was also just playing and listening to YouTube videos against the Josh Speaks. I've been kind of like taking it easy, so yeah, I apologize for the later stream, but I hope you guys are enjoying, it. So let's talk on this is going to be relatively towards the final part of the stream, though I will probably also talk about some other things here as well. This thing of feeling hard to open up to people has affected me, in multiple ways, such as dealing with animals. Ever since my dad died, and before my dad died, we had a lot of animals in our lives. I've had dogs. In fact, I've had like a lot of wolves, which was crazy. My dad like he lied to the government saying like, oh yeah, they're half breeds, but they were full wolves. I live with wolves, like 9 of them. You know, it was crazy stuff. But anyway, you know, I've had animals before, but when my dad died, you know, we had some animals to like kind of fill in the void of having a loving person or loving thing in our lives, me and my mom. But there would be horrible stuff that would happen to them. And I don't know why I felt I had like bad luck. And this is kind of a thing where I talked about luck before, because I felt many times that I've had horrible luck in my life. You know, of course, with my dad dying, with Clarissa, you know, being basically perfect for me, but being a Jehovah Witness. Other stuff I could talk about with luck. I made a whole video talking about luck if you want to check it out. But anyway, I felt like I had bad luck with these animals because, you know, when I would try to open up and be caring with them, something would happen. They would die. We would have to give them away because we couldn't take care of them. But most of the time they would die. And we've had like multiple dogs throughout the years. That's the only animal we've ever had for like a while was dogs. And they would either die or we had to get rid of them. And I struggle with this because I did not want to open up to them, because it's another creature, even though a lot of them, I do think animals, at least a lot of them understand at least what you're saying to some extent. But, you can't understand a lot of them, unless it's a bird that repeats phrases or whatever. But, you can't speak with them. But I think they know what you're saying, and either way, even if they weren't, even if they didn't know what you're saying, they're another living creature. And to open up to them and open up your heart to them is tough, and it was for me, multiple times where my mom would love to get like a dog or whatever, and I would be hesitant to open up, and then I would, but then they would die or we had to get rid of them. And I vowed, one of the last times we got an animal was, I believe, this dog, which I shared a picture of before. I don't remember on YouTube, but I know I posted it on like Facebook and stuff. Which, by the way, check out my Facebook and Instagram. I post some pictures there of like my toys and figures. Anyway, sidetracked. And family photos. Just a cheap plug. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, I would, with this dog his name was Teddy, and we had to get rid of him because I don't think we could have taken care of him, or something happened where we couldn't have him anymore. And I vowed, technically I vowed for like a while, but I kept still doing it. But then I vowed after that fully, and this was a while where we had him, I vowed that I would never get close to an animal ever again. And that's what got me really mad when my mom, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago exactly, it's going to be the anniversary on the 20th, which is the same day Xenoblade X comes out. But around this time 2 years ago, my mom got a call from her brother, my uncle, that his girlfriend had a bird and she couldn't take care of him anymore because of the apartment that she was living in did not allow animals or something. So he asked my mom if we wanted him, and my mom said yes. And so I was really mad with my mom because I didn't want an animal coming here. I did not want to get close to another animal again, just to end up them dying or we have to get rid of them. And again, this ties back into with my dad. I was afraid of opening up to anything, whether it be an actual person, an animal, a living thing. I felt like I felt afraid of opening up to them in the sense that if they died or they left me like other people, I would just not recover, and eventually we were able to get the bird. And I still was like, I'm not gonna bother with this bird. It's gonna be all my mom's and my brother's. They're gonna take care of it. I'm not gonna bother with it. Maybe I'll say hi to it when I come downstairs. That's it. But then something happened where I still don't know exactly how this happened, but I became, how do I say this? Like, I started to really like this bird, and the bird started to really like me. We named him Paquito, and you hear him a lot in a lot of these streams. He screams in the background. He's very loud, but I love him. And something about him, he became attracted to me. I became like attracted to him. I don't know exactly how, but it does happen. And I was worried that something bad would happen to him. But I've had him. We've had him for almost 2 years now. It'll be the 20th will be the anniversary of when we got him. And what happened, it's going to be 2 years. And those 2 years, he's been healthy, he's been good. And I've started to realize, as the couple months went by of us having him, that it's fine to love and care about people, things, and stuff like that. It's fine. It's normal. It's human. It is important. You shouldn't be worrying about if something bad will happen. And if something does bad happen, it's going to be sad. It's going to be rough. But you got to learn, again, to spend time with the person or thing or creature you have right now. And in terms of an animal, I feel like you got to give them the best life they can. If something happens where they do end up dying, say, hey, at least I gave them a good life while they were here. I'm getting a bit emotional, but yeah, I've learned that, and I'm trying to keep that motto in my life now, because again, I still struggle with it. I still struggle with dealing with my dad passing away. It's not something you can ever forget. I still miss him. I wish he was here to teach me things and tell me advice on stuff like that. I wish some of my friends were still here. I would still talk to them, like Isaiah. I never got to tell Isaiah the fact that I found out I was autistic. Like I never told him that. There's stuff that I wish would still happen, but you gotta take those experiences and be like, okay, it's sad, it's done, what's done is done, it's sad, but hey, you can use that to better your relationships with other people. You can form new friendships and make sure you talk to them, talk to your grandparents or whatever, talk to your mom or dad or whatever to make the most of what you have now. Learn their stories. What was your mom like in the 90s or something? I don't know. Stuff like that. And with animals, you gotta learn, that you gotta keep them happy and, and make sure they have a good life. I hope this is making sense that, you gotta live in the moment basically, and you gotta be completely, you shouldn't be thinking about the stuff in the future. You gotta be living in the now and making sure you spend the time you have with them. I hope that's what I was going with. I kind of got kind of sidetracked, but yeah, I think that's my whole thing, And again, it's not gonna be easy. It's still not easy for me. I still have trouble with this. But you got to take it one day at a time, in terms of both, spend time with them one day at a time, and also, slowly but surely, make sure you don't think about these things, for that might not even happen for 20 years in the future, Don't think about them now, just live in the moment. So, yeah, I want to see if there's anything else I want to say. But again, feel free to share your stories too, guys. Tell me about animals that passed away, or friends or family or whatever that you dealt with losing, in terms of either they died or they moved away. Luckily I never had a thing where a friend, moved. Oh, well, actually, that's a lie. Actually, I was gonna say I never dealt with a friend moving away, but that's not true. They just came back a little bit later. But I did have a friend. I wasn't super. This was one of the friends that I kind of was still. I made in middle school, and I had in high school. And I still kind of cling into that. In high school, I mostly let go of the facade I had, and where I was like all crazy and kooky or whatever. In high school, I kind of dropped that for the most part, but there was still one remnant where I was still like this with a kid named Sebastian. And in ninth grade, towards the beginning, he informed me and Isaac, we were like basically the three friends, and he informed us that he was going to be moving, and he moved for like 2-3 years to a different school, and that was rough. I kind of, even though I wasn't super close to him in terms of a personal level, we were still friends, and it was sad to see him go. But in a way, I'm kind of, this is going to sound bad, but I'm kind of glad he moved, because one, he did come back eventually. I'll talk about that in a bit. But because he left, me and Isaac had to hang out by ourselves. Usually, me and Isaac, we would be basically kind of acquaintances, we would be friends and we would talk. We had one class together, I believe we had a few classes together throughout the years, but I think in ninth grade we had one class, and then again in 12th grade we had another one. Anyway, I don't remember exactly, but basically, we were kind of friends. We talked there, a little bit, but we were mostly hanging out with Sebastian. But when he left, that forced us to become closer friends, and that allowed me to be more open and became a true friend to Isaac. And then eventually, Sebastian, he eventually came back around 12th grade. He came back to the school, and it was a little bit weird because, we grew apart, of course, because he literally moved, but, I changed, but I was still kind of clinging to the fact that, I'm this crazy guy, though to a far lesser degree than I did before, I still felt like I needed to be like that. But it was still nice to have him back, and it was like really nice to have all three of us back together again, and I am glad again he moved, because I became closer to someone else, and then when he came back, it was nice to have him back, even though I was kind of reverted back to my old crazy self. I keep saying crazy, like, but yeah, what was I going with that point? I don't remember what I was going with that point exactly. That, have you dealt with loss like that? I kind of got sidetracked telling another story. But have you ever done that, guys? I want to know, feel free to share. I really want to know. I was thinking maybe I should read up my, maybe I should read, let me see if I can find my Reddit post, and maybe I could read it out loud, so you guys what I was thinking, like a few months ago. Let's see, I'm going to my Reddit, sorry guys, just to give you some insight into what I was thinking, exactly what I was feeling about my dad, because again, I was dealing with other things too that kind of contributed to the fact that, why even bother having hecking friends and all that stuff, or being close to anyone. But again, while I'm at it, feel free to share in the chat stuff you've experienced. I wanna learn. I wanna hear what you have to say. So I don't know how to talk. I'm trying to find I'm scrolling down my history on Reddit to see if I could find this somewhere. How far away was this? Was this? Maybe it was long. Maybe it was a year ago. Or maybe I passed and I didn't realize. That's always a possibility. But yeah, I'm a bit emotional, man. I'm a bit... yeah, I'm a bit emotional. But you know, that's just part of talking about stuff like this, you know. My God, come on, I can't find it. I want to share exactly what I said in this thing. I feel like either I passed it or it's even further back than I realized. Oh my God, man. I apologize, guys. I'll keep scrolling and then I'll let you guys know if I find it. In the meantime, I don't know what else I should talk about, what else I should say, you know? I feel like I talked about a lot of what I wanted to say already, you know? You know, loss is hard for anyone, but it was especially rough for me because, you know, I grew, you know, it was on my birthday, you know, what a horrible birthday present, you know? And you know, my mom, you know, she dealt with loss too, obviously, you know, with my dad. My dad meant a lot to my mom. And, you know, and because of that, I don't know how to speak. She kind of lied about my dad in a few ways, such as my dad, you know, again, he died on my birthday, November 19th, 2010, and, which is my birthday. I turned 6. But my, I feel like I might have passed it. Anyway, I'm still looking at this. Anyway, okay, sorry, I'm just looking at this. Anyway, I was going to say. Okay. I'm getting sidetracked looking at my stuff. I'm sorry. Anyway, my mom lied, that saying that my dad died late, like around my birthday, but not on my birthday. In fact, I didn't find out until years later that he died on my birthday when I saw a picture in a family album, which I do want to do a browsing video of browsing my family album at some point. Anyway, I want to do that. But anyway, I found a picture in the family album where we were in the tombstone, where he was buried. And I haven't been to the tombstone of him in a while. You know, and it was very sad, you know, that I saw, because I never knew. My mom lied saying like, oh, he died around there, but, you know, and like she would say, oh, that's just when the tombstone says November 19th because, oh, it was when they first made the tombstone or something, or whatever she said. And, you know, obviously that's not how tombstones work. So, yeah, I just felt very... And also in other ways, too, there was another thing where I was curious on what my dad was like before he met my mom. And I Googled him. I Googled my dad because he was a Marine. And I had some information, like the full name he had. Stuff like that. And I found out that apparently... in this like website, it was like an obituary or something. It basically said that my dad had a daughter, and I was like, what? I've only ever heard of him having 2 other kids, you know, my brothers. What do you mean a daughter? So I confronted my mom about this, and you know, I wanted to learn more about my dad, you know, because, well, yeah, I felt very sad that he had to go. But I felt the need to learn more. And eventually my mom told me that it wasn't his daughter. It was basically, I believe it was a girl, was the kid of his first ex-wife. And something happened where she wanted to use his last name for the kid or whatever. And so the last name became Ortega. That's my last name too, you know. So she was Ortega, and she was kind of, in the obituary, she was treated as his daughter, but he didn't have a daughter. Well, it was like his stepdaughter, you know. It was a kid from the first from his first wife or whatever. So yeah, you know, there's just some things that, you know, I just wanted to learn more, you know, and you know, it's rough, but you gotta deal with it. I don't even know what was my point in going. Also, I can't even find my thing. I'm sorry, guys. Did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, oh my God, come on. I felt like I passed it more. I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, did I pass it more? I don't know where. I felt like, d I know it's... Oh my god. Where is it? I could have sworn it's... I'm sorry, guys. We might have to pass this up, and I might have to end the stream. Unless, of course, you guys share your life stories or lost stories with me as well. But yeah, oh my god, I wish I could hecking find it, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's further than I thought it was. Kind of sad. Anyway, I'll keep scrolling, seeing if I could find it. But I do want to touch on another thing about loss real quick, and it's kind of like a more funny thing just to, lighten up the mood a little bit. I'm sure you guys have heard of the... Oh my god, no. I'm sure you guys have heard of the Lost meme, or Lost meme, whatever, where it has like 2 lines and then like 2 lines there, and then I don't know, it's like a meme thing or whatever. Yeah, like I'm sure you've heard of it, and it really bugs me. It really grinds my gears that became a meme, because it's a comic of a guy. I'm not sure how the comic was actually written to be, but the comic, like if it was meant to be a joke, but the comic itself seems like it wasn't that bad. It was like about a guy coming in, seeing a girl, I don't know if it was his girlfriend or something, finding out she died, and being sad or whatever. But everyone makes a joke of it, and say, oh, look, it's lost because of the lines and stuff like that. And it really bugs me, because it's making light of a real situation. Whether it was the guy's intention to be made light of the situation, I don't know. But even if it was or it wasn't, it's still about loss, like whether they meant it as a joke or not. And to see people, other people joke about it, it makes me mad. It makes me mad, because it should never be treated as a joke. And there's actually another thing I wanted to tell you guys. Actually, another thing, the idea. Well, I kind of touched on this earlier, but the idea of loss before it even happens. Again, I talked about this a little bit already, where I was worrying that I would worry that my mom would die in her sleep or whatever, or my grandma, because she's getting up there. But this really came into the effect in 2017. This is when I talked about, because I was, again, dealing with loss around the time as well. This is where I wanted to learn more about my dad, because my grandma was going into surgery for something. She had I forgot, I don't remember exactly what was going on, but she had to have surgery, and eventually she had to stay in the hospital for a little bit. And eventually she came and stayed with us for 3 months or whatever. And what happened was that I was really worried about, my grandma. What if something did happen to her? I was so worried. And what I did was, again, this is around the time of what happened with my... where I wanted to learn more about my dad, because of because I was worried about all these things about my grandma and stuff. And this thing is another thing that also kind of grinds my gears, because I was watching a YouTube channel called the Roundtable. That was the YouTube channel's name. And in one of the recent videos, I made a comment when I got the news of we had to go take my grandma to the hospital. I made a comment saying that I was worried that my grandma would die, and for support. And a lot of people were supportive, but a lot of other people were thinking it was a troll or something like that, or I was using the thing for likes or whatever. And it really grinds my gears. Again, I say it grinds my gears. It really makes me mad, because, people deal with loss in multiple different ways. And it really made me realize that, of course, if someone in the comments of a video, of a YouTube video says something like that, they could be saying it for likes or whatever, or for attention, but they're also very likely they could just be trying to deal with this in some sort of way, so I don't think you should write it off as like, oh, fake, or who cares, they're just doing it for clout or whatever. And it really makes me mad because I was one of those people. I wanted to see some support for my grandma, because I was worried about her. And I made a comment, and people called me out. Some people, there were also a lot of nice people though. And but like, it made me really hecking sad, even more so, so it was just a whole situation. And I wished I wish they understood where I was coming from. And now I understand, that's why a motto I have on when it comes to what people say online with like, oh, something happened with their families or whatever, or they're dealing with something. When people say, oh, it's fake, or they're just doing it for attention, or something on like Reddit, for example, you see this also on Reddit where they talk about some stuff that happened, I don't know, there were like just sometimes like Reddit posts where they're like, oh, they are being followed, or they're suspicious of a thing, and then people say it's fake. I'm more inclined to at least give them the benefit of the doubt, because I was in that situation too. And again, this is another thing that like, again, grinds my gears and makes me mad, that people don't at least say that, oh, it could be true. Also, I really can't find this post, guys. I'm sorry. I wanted to stare off what I was saying exactly, but I can't find it. I don't think it was removed. I'm pretty sure it was hacking talked about, or it was from a couple months ago, but I don't. Okay, wait. I found it. Guys, I found it. Let's go. I found it. Okay, I passed it. Oh my god, I found it. My god. So I'm gonna read. This is a long Reddit post. This is a long one. And I'm gonna read the 2 comments I received from it. So let me give you guys. This was 7 months ago. 7 months ago. I'm actually pretty sure this was before when I reconnected with Clarissa. Because it was around my birthday time, I believe this is what happened. Anyway, let me read it off, and then I'll talk about it, and then I think I might end off the video. But again, feel free to share your idea. I want to hear from you guys. We haven't gotten any chatters. I want to hear from you guys, what you're saying in the chat about what I'm saying or how you dealt with grief. Anyway, so I was dealing with this because it was the anniversary, I believe, around of my birthday. So I kind of do still think about this when my birthday comes up. When it's meant to be all happy and fun, it's sad for me because, well, I mean, it's sad for other people because they get older, right? But it's especially sad for me because, my dad died on my birthday. So here's the Reddit post I made 7 months ago on grief support, which I didn't realize I didn't join the subreddit. I'm joining. Anyway, here's what I said. I tagged this as vent/anger advice welcome. Here we go. I'm 19, now almost 20. Again, this was 7 months ago. Now I'm 20. Anyway, in November 19th. And my dad died a bit after midnight. He died by falling down the stairs, but he was already pretty sick since he smoked a lot and needed a new liver, I believe. Anyway, I still think about it constantly. In fact, sometimes I feel like my life would be so much better if he was still here. That's a thing I didn't really, I kind of touched on, but I didn't really talk about, but I'll talk about it after we're done with this. He was an amazing dad who was so kind and loved to play and entertain me. He was a great man, and it makes me sad that he died and basically ruined my life. Again, I'll talk more about that. I'm autistic, so some of my issues would still be around even if my dad was alive, but I could have definitely managed better if he was still here. I've always had issues talking with others, and especially girls. So I've never had a girlfriend, still don't, and barely any friends, still don't. I wish I got some advice from my dad, and I wish he would have just taught me some things like I don't know riding a bike. Like I don't know riding a bike. I made a slight typo there, which I still haven't learned, by the way. I'm also mad he left me and my mom struggling to live. We barely get by in life nowadays, and while we have gotten some nice things here and there, it would be so much better if he was still here. Because my dad did take care of my mom before I was born. He bought so many stuff for me and her, and we were relatively great financial wise, but now we are barely able to keep food on the table every month. The only good thing my dad died caused was my mom giving birth to my brother. And then, I'll talk again. Another thing I didn't really touch on, my brother, who she had with basically her boyfriend. Him and my dad were friends, and he is a nice guy, but for reasons I don't want to get into, and I still won't get into now, he can't be here to support us the same way as my dad, even if he does help out help out every now and again. This is not what I said in this article, but like he gives us money, like he gives us my mom money in the around the 20th of every month or whatever for bills or whatever. So he helps out, but you know, he can't be with us the same way my dad can. Anyway, it helps out now and again. But yeah, because of him, my brother's here and he is almost going to be 13. Now he's 13. I wouldn't trade him for anything, but I still really do miss my dad, and I wish I could bring him back while still having my brother with us. Birthdays are always rough for me because I constantly think about my dad's death. Why did he have to die on my birthday? And you know what? Wait. Okay, I just lost track of my thing. And you know what really sucks? My mom never told me he died on my birthday. I found out by looking at photos of me when we visited his grave a bit after he died. I only saw those photos a few years ago, though. My mom still doesn't like to admit it, but she knows that I know, so it's basically an open secret at this point, which is still true. She doesn't like to talk about it, but she knows it's an open secret. Anyway, I think that's it for me. I really just wanted to ramble because while I do talk about this, I feel like I don't enough. Especially because I have only gone to therapy for a bit when I was really young, but stopped going because my mom couldn't keep paying for it, so thanks for reading, I guess. And then eventually I did end up going to kind of therapy again, but same situation where we couldn't really keep paying for it. And yeah, going back to, there's some things a lot of this I touched on already in this live stream. But there's some things that I didn't really, such as the fact that, I do have, a kind of a father figure in my life now. My mom's kind of boyfriend. Again, it's a complicated relationship, but that's just what I'll call him. He is a nice guy. He, he is also subscribed to my YouTube channel and watches stuff. He helps us when he can. In fact, recently he bought my mom and technically all of us a new microwave. Like, he's very nice and he does help out, but he can't help out the same way my dad could have. And we also don't see him that much. So I don't. I guess I could ask him for advice and stuff like that, but to be honest, I don't. How do I put this? I don't really, I don't feel connected to him the same way I would if, like, an actual father, and that's for multiple reasons. But yeah, I just feel, I can't really talk to him or most of my family about a lot of stuff. I do more now, but it's still really rough, but I am thankful he is here to some extent. And also, again, he is the reason why my brother is here. I love my brother. And Rocky, he's been on live streams before. He's we have trouble, me and him. Sometimes I feel like he hates me, but like overall, we love each other, and I know he loves me even though he doesn't like to admit it. And I love him a lot, and I wouldn't trade him for anything, even if I miss my dad. I wish there was some way where we could all be happy and all live together and all be alive and all that stuff. But, that is how it is. And, that's just another reason why some bad can come out good. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where, good can come out of a bad situation. I talked just mostly about how, you got to make the most of what you have with that person. I remember the good times, but also there could be some good times after the person dies because they died, just such as this, or maybe you get to meet new people because a relative died and now they're like your best friends and they were like related to, or they were friends of your grandma or something. Basically, good can come out of death, so that's the thing I kind of touched on, but I didn't really do much of it until now. So yeah, and then what was the other thing I wanted to say? I'm just kind of skimming through this real quick. Oh yeah, Dad, my life would be better if he was still here, And I kind of touched on this already, but I felt that, I would still have the same problems I do now because I am autistic. In fact, I'm going to be making, again, a browsing video where I talk about my autism diagnosis. But in case you don't know, I am level 2. I have level 2 autism. What does that mean? So there's 3 different levels of autism. I'm going to be uploading a YouTube short talking about the levels in more detail. But basically, level 1, you need some help here and there. Support needs, a little bit. Level 2, that's what I am. You need a lot more help with things. You can live a relatively normal life, but you need more instructions and more help to do it. And level 3 is the most severe. You struggle a lot. You maybe don't even talk to people, or at least not a lot, like with many words, but like, I'm level 2 right now, but it can fluctuate. And I feel like if my dad was here, I could very well be a level 1, where I would be relatively well off. I would still have challenges, but I would be mostly good because my dad would be there to help me, and again, we would be better financially well off, and stuff like that. And that's another reason why it makes me sad and mad and all that stuff about the situation, because I wish he was here to teach me these things, to learn. I wanted to learn more about him, how he got the girls, how to ride a bike or whatever, I wish he taught me these things, and I won't ever know, and it's sad, but I do believe things happen for a reason. And I didn't really I'll talk about religion and how I deal with it in terms of loss in a little bit, but basically I believe in God, and my family, we're kind of Christian, we went to church before my dad died, and after he died, we didn't really go to church. In fact, we never went to church after he died. But we still do believe in God, and I do still believe in God. And the point being, I believe that things happen for a reason, and that maybe it was meant to be. Especially because I have my brother here with me now. And now, honestly, I don't know. Again, my life could have been completely different if my dad was here, Maybe I would have had a girlfriend, more friends, whatever. But also, I might have not had like a YouTube channel or done any content at all online. Think about that. Maybe I wouldn't be doing any of this, So, and I consider this to be pretty fun, pretty cool, and yeah, like so you never know. So I think things happen for a reason. So yeah. Now let me show you guys the replies that I got, the 2 replies I got from this Reddit post, and then I'll talk about religion a little bit more, and then I think I'll call it quits. So this guy replied saying, I'm sorry that you were cheated out of a relationship with your dad at such a tender age. So many lost moments, the grief, the lack of a male role model, the lack of financial security for your family, and so much more. And yet you're here, you're a survivor, and I'm proud of you. Have confidence in yourself. Do you realize the strength you built in going through this trauma as a young man? You're light years ahead of others who may not have experienced the same kinds of challenges. You can do anything. I'm pulling for you, and I feel strongly that your dad is sure. So I'm getting a little bit emotional here. You are from spirit, shedding love. So that's another thing I want to keep in mind. I guess I'll talk about religion here too, because I do believe, again, I'm a God. I also believe in, spirits, stuff like that. I do think God. Sorry if I get emotional here. This was going to be a sad stream. But I do believe, my dad is looking down and seeing, how, I've still struggled, but I have come so far, and like this guy says, I am a survivor. I've dealt with this at 6 years old, which is a thing that people shouldn't experience, but I dealt with it, and I've dealt with loss, and I will probably still be dealing with loss eventually when something bad happens again with, like, in the future with my grandma or whatever. But I feel like I'll be more manageable. I'll be able to manage it more, having gone through this in the past. It would still hurt, I'm sure, and I'll still be crying and all that stuff, but I think I'll be more okay since I've dealt with this technically many times over again, with losing friends or stuff like that, animals, and especially my dad. I feel like I can do this more so. Oh my God. Yeah, I believe in, God and stuff like that, and it's fine if you don't, but it helped me be comfort in the fact that, that my dad is still here and is looking over me, and, and stuff like that. I hope that makes sense. And then the next comment is, it's also from the same guy. I actually did not realize it was from the same guy. Also, I know funds are tight, but it seems like you would benefit from a grief support group to help you process your unresolved grief and loss. This one seems good. It's paid, but they have scholarships. And then this one has free groups, and then he links to stuff. I wish I could go to therapy more often. I think it would help. Honestly, it would still help, but overall, I've dealt with it more than, I've dealt with it more nowadays, and of course, I'm doing YouTube and live streams and shorts and all. I'm doing all this sort of stuff. I'm sharing my life and experiences and stuff like that with you guys. And in a way, this is kind of like therapy. It's cheaper than therapy, I'll give you that. But yeah, it's overall, like, I've gone through this, and I felt, I could still use some help, but overall, I have felt my emotions. I have gone through grief. Not to say I could never keep doing it or whatever, or process it more, but overall, I do think that I'm a bit better now, especially because of YouTube, because I can share stuff with you guys. So, yeah, so I'm glad I found my Reddit post there. I could not find it. I'm like, where the heck is it? I passed it up. So let me head back onto the YouTube side on the live chat with you guys. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I said I was going to talk more about religion, but I kind of already touched on that. I believe in God. I believe in spirits and all that stuff. I believe my dad is watching over me, and and I do believe that. God, I get a little bit emotional. I'm just gonna talk about this. I do want to. I do believe sometimes he does talk to me in my dreams. I've had dreams where I felt like I was talking with my dad, and he gave me good advice. When I was like 9, he gave me advice on how he used to be scared of the dark too, and that I can overcome it. And then there was also another dream recently where I'm like, I missed you, and I hugged him, and then like I felt like he was there, like actually in my dreams, and I do believe that one day, eventually, when I go on, when I die, because we will all die at some point, I will be reunited with him, yeah, God, I get a bit emotional, but yeah, I just feel, I do believe in, again, religion, and it's comforting, You could not believe in it, that's totally fine by me, and I don't blame people, Religion is very, like a lot of religions out there, they have some very bad rules, Jehovah's Witnesses, don't even get me started, but, other stuff, religions too, there's some stricter rules in, like, Christians or Catholics or Muslims, but, but like that's the religion, the human aspect. When it comes to the spiritual aspect, I think it's a little bit different. You can be, you could believe in a God and not be religious. I don't really consider myself religious. I just believe in a God and like spirit, afterlife, or whatever. Because I don't like the structure of the human element. I'm getting sidetracked. The point being, I believe in that stuff, even though I don't really talk about it much because I don't really believe in the human aspect much. But it comforts me. So yeah. I don't know if there's anything else to say besides I'll ask you guys like one more time. Feel free to share your stories. Feel free to tell me grief you went through. I talked a lot about my dad, but I also talked about friends moving away or opening up with people and they're drifting apart, or with Clarissa, where I opened up with someone I really cared about for the first time since really my dad died, and we kind of had that falling out, and I'm still recovering from it, and with animals, it's tough to open up, especially after you dealt with the thing I've dealt with my dad dying, at 6 years old on my birthday, and it is rough, to be reminded of that every time my birthday comes around, and try to be open. It's hard to be open with yourself and to others, but it's just gotta be done, and you gotta how do I say this, you gotta be you gotta learn, that you gotta not worry about the future, you gotta live in the moment, and take what you've learned and try to make the most of it for the next time, I guess, just to try to put a positive spin on things, but yeah, I don't know, is there anything else I wanted to talk about before I decide to end off the stream? Man, my nose is like all watery because I'm getting a bit emotional here, but I mean, it's hard not to, especially with this type of stream, yeah. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on about dealing with loss? I think that might be it, in all honesty. Again, feel free to tell me your stories before we go, but I think that might be it for me, it's still something I think about, and it's still something I'm going to deal with, going forward with as my family gets older, I'm 20, my mom is also getting up there too. She's 55, wait, almost 55, 54. She's getting up there too, and it makes me worried, but I just gotta live, everything is gonna be fine at the moment, you can be fine at the moment. What happens in the future, you shouldn't be worrying about that. I've tried to not worry about that, I used to a lot, but now I'm trying to live in the moment and be happy with what I have now, because, you never know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know, so just live in the moment, and, that's my point. Yeah, unless I think of something else real quick, I think that might be it for the stream. I don't know when the next stream is gonna be, to be honest with you guys. Mario Day is coming up soon. There's gonna be 2 days. There's gonna be Mario Day. Just some people thinking it's gonna be like there's gonna be some sort of announcement of something. Maybe Mario movie stuff. If there's some sort of like thing Nintendo does for Mario Day, I'm gonna be streaming it. Yeah, so that might be the next stream if something does happen Mario Day. Otherwise, I do have other streams planned where I want my brother to play Minecraft, I talked a bit about my brother here, and I love him a lot, even though sometimes he feels like he doesn't love me, but I know he does too, and he's been on streams before, and it's always a fun time to have him here, and so I want to do that soon. I also have a not True Color. I have a Lost Record stream planned as well. But yeah, and then of course, when Xenoblade X comes out on Switch, I'm gonna be streaming that the 19th at 10 p.m. But yeah, is there anything else? Anything else I'm missing before I go? Because I think I might just call it quits, guys. So I'm guessing no one's gonna share their stories with me. That's fine. No, it's fine. It's a personal thing. And it could be hard for people to share stuff. But I do think it's important to share, whether it be from to me or to anyone else. I think it's important to share because if you, I guess this is a thing I could talk about real quick. It's just that the fact that you can bottle up these emotions. You can keep them hidden. And keep them to yourself, and that's really bad. Believe me, I feel like even though I let my emotions share out before to other people, it can be hard to open up for multiple reasons. Sometimes people make fun of you, or because you think they will, and it's understandable, but it's still important to share off that emotion, because if you bottle it up, and I kind of felt like I did bottle my emotions up for a while, Eventually it will come crashing down and cause something in the future, And this kind of ties into what I was saying earlier, or what I was just saying right now, was that, I kind of bottled up my emotions for a bit, because everyone in school, in elementary school, knew that my dad died. And you know what happened? They basically treated it like as a joke, or like a weird kid. Like, oh my god, this guy, his dad died. Like, he's so weird. Like who cares about him? Because like basically they treated it like it didn't matter that my dad died. They were just like, oh, it's because that's because he's weird. Okay, we don't want to talk to him. They didn't want to open up. They didn't want me to open up, and that was part of the reason why I kind of bottled up those emotions, until a little bit later on, So I understand, not wanting to open up in like the chat, for example, but it is important to get it out there to someone, whether it be a family member or an actual therapist, if you have money or whatever, It's important, even though I do, again, understand where people are coming from, and that people can be mean, people can be mean. They were in elementary school. Again, everyone knew when my dad died, and they just did not care about me, like, at all. They just saw me as a weird kid who doesn't talk, and it was very, very rough. Yeah, so I think we've streamed long enough. I feel like I've talked a lot about the dealing with loss, how I dealt with it personally. I'm never going to be fully done dealing with loss, because people die all the time. Eventually someone else you care about, like a grandparent or another family member or friend, will pass away or move on from you, But two, because, you never get over that person, fully. At least I think. You never, ever, again, this is another thing. You never, I don't think you ever lose that personal connection with someone. Whether it be a crush, or you like someone, or you cared, or they died, or whatever. I don't think you lose that feeling for someone. Just needed to just tune in. We'll check the stream tomorrow. Hope you had a good day. Thanks, Leo. I appreciate you coming by. Yeah, check out the stream tomorrow. Yeah, I had a good day. Well, this was kind of sad, but, I felt like I talked a lot about what I wanted to in this stream. I kind of opened up a little bit more to you guys, which I have talked about before in, other streams, but this is more of a concise thing. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough time. Basically, I don't think I'll ever stop dealing with loss because, again, of people die all the time, and also you never lose that connection with someone. But it's just a matter of getting better with it over time, and, making the most of what you have right now. That's the conclusion. There you go. So, yeah, I think that's for real. That's going to be it, guys. So let me put the stream ending screen. Let me get that ready. I hope you enjoyed watching the stream. Again, if you want to check out the stream after it's done, feel free to. I feel like I talked about a lot of good points, in my opinion. And I did not have anything, I did not have like a script written or, you know, points like I do in the other types of streams I do. You know, like, you know, I usually in these other types of streams, like my, you know, weird things or crazy things I did in school or things my parents didn't and did let me do. I had like points in like a paper. This time I didn't. I kind of was like off the cuff, you know. So let me know what you guys think about that. I think I still did a good job being structured, talking about these things. So, yeah. Anything else before I forget to mention it? I think that might be it. So I hope you enjoyed watching this stream. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. On Twitch, be sure to follow, especially on Twitch. Let me know if you like these streams. You know, you want me to do more of them on Twitch, because I do a lot of them on YouTube. You know, I also do the 1 like equals whatever streams on YouTube. I think those would still be on YouTube because you can't like on Twitch. And I think it's better to be, I don't know. I think it's better for those streams to be YouTube exclusive because of the having them be vertical. But with these streams, I'm open to them being on Twitch as well. So let me know if you guys like them on, I like these streams on Twitch. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Man, I'm still a bit emotional. I'm gonna go continue watching the YouTube video I was watching, which was of the Josh Speaks, who I got the inspiration to make these types of streams. So yeah, check them out. And yeah, I'm just gonna do that. I'm probably gonna play more Brotato. I've been playing that game a lot recently. It's a pretty fun game. Yeah, I'll see you all maybe Monday for the Mario Day if something happens. Otherwise, I'll stream around a little bit after that, you know, for something like Lost Records or for the My Brother Plays Minecraft stream. Anyway, I'll see you all later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching me. I appreciate it.